5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome, everyone, to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. So this is the podcast where my co-hosts and I listen to all the Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts and YouTube shows and, you know, however local Cincinnati peeps put out content.
Everything other than blogs.
Yeah.
So far.
Blogs. And then we give our version of the truth of how those went. And hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other shows. There might be some consequences today.
This is true.
We'll get to that in a little bit. I am Marco. I'm a taproom manager here locally. And that voice you heard belongs to the best co-host in podcast landia.
Thank you, Marco. I appreciate the introduction.
Who are you?
I am Caroline.
No,
Caroline.
You're not. I was just going to say, no, you're not. You are one. Caroline. And you are with the Craft Parenting Podcast. Well, you're
Yes.
one half of the Craft Parenting Podcast.
I am a Cincinnati craft beer lover with a parenting problem. So, I mean, my husband is too, but he's not here, so he doesn't count.
He doesn't count now. No, he is excluded from this conversation.
I mean, I'm the craft beer lover today, and he's the parenting problem. Like, he's got to deal with that
Right.
half. So, I got the better half of the split
Absolutely.
today.
Absolutely.
Well, and you are?
I'm Julia. I do things.
Do things.
I
all
just
right.
do things. I didn't come up with anything clever or witty for today, so I do stuff. You know, all good.
So as we get started, the thoughts and opinions on this podcast are ours and ours alone. They do not reflect any entity which we may be affiliated with, such as full-time jobs or higher gravity. If you wish to get in communication with us, to talk with us, to invite us to special opportunities, to shower us with money, to get our address so that you can deliver beer to us for little to no cost at all. We will give you that information at the end of the podcast. Now, having said that, no craft beer podcast would be a good craft beer podcast. And we are the #1 craft beer podcast that talks about Cincinnati craft beer podcasts. Thank you, all of you who have listened for a long time and those who are joining us today. If we're not drinking a craft beer, and we all are at this time, and so I will start guests first.
I am drinking a Downtown, but I think it's Arhays. I don't remember.
Archays, yeah.
Archays, yes, that one.
It's a brown ale. I had that one last week, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed that one.
It is very delicious.
Yep. Marco?
I'm having B&D IPA from Masthead Brewing. That probably stands for bloating and diarrhea.
Only there's lactose in it, which there should not be. It is very clear.
Shit, I didn't think about that.
It's clear. It should be
damn
fine.
it.
Should be fine.
I've got some cheese. If you'd like some cheese. I got
no.
some gifts in my bag.
Oh, no,
I'll have
no.
to dig those
I
out.
was afraid of the
no.
consequences.
Oh, no. Here we go. It starts early.
Julie, what you drinking?
I am kind of bucking my norm, and I am drinking what you normally do, a Rothaus Pils, in an absolutely gorgeous, sexy, brand new Pilsner glass here at Higher Gravity
That's
Summit
right.
Park. I'm sure they have them at Northside as well.
Yeah, and
But
shout out
this
to
thing-
Higher Gravity Summit Park for being a gracious podcast host.
Yes, we wouldn't be here without them. They wouldn't be here without us, you know? We spend enough money here that without us, we really
There
are
have
the
been some
people that
Tuesdays
keep
where we were the bulk of the bartender's tips.
You keep the lights on.
we keep the lights on. This glass is amazing. The beer is amazing. And cheers, guys.
Cheers, let's go.
Prost.
Prost.
Yes.
None of us have Oktoberfest beers yet, but we will probably need to change that
I
at
think,
some point
yeah,
tonight.
we'll
Yes.
get one at some point tonight. Even if we get one and split it.
So,
We will figure it out.
as stated in your earlier in the week episode of all of the lovely craft beer events
Yes.
in Cincinnati,
Yes.
I'm just planning on drinking the bulk of my Oktoberfest beers at the Donauschwaben
Donauschwaben.
Oktoberfest.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's only going to be 31 different beers on draft, so I don't know what I'm going to
that's it.
choose.
That's
Why
it.
would you need to go to Munich when you can
Right.
just go to the Donauschwaben Oktoberfest?
Right.
Yeah, so I came up with a crazy idea of trying to do like a bracket of all of the beers at our Oktoberfest.
Nobody does that.
No one does an Oktoberfest.
Nobody does
right.
that. I mean, it would be a silly thing to do. But I need to find somebody to watch the kids so we can do that.
You have a husband.
But we would have to do it together.
Yeah, just one
Yeah,
half.
I guess.
of
Yeah. But you see, if you do both of you, there's a chance that you could each pick different beers and cancel each other out, and then it's a stalemate. So it really needs to just be one.
Caroline coordinated her fingernail polish with her shirt today.
I did.
Yes.
So that was intent behind
Very
both.
estery. Absolutely. There always is. And she has the phenomenal Craft Parenting Podcast hat. Super exclusive. No one knows how to get them. Caroline will not tell us.
I don't know how to get them. Joe handed it to me one day and said, "Here you go."
And you went,
and then I wore it to work, and he was like, "Maybe you shouldn't do that." And I was like, "It's fine. People wear Rheingeist and Mad Tree gear all the time. This is no different."
It's not.
No, it's not.
It's really not. Yeah. All right, let's talk some podcasts. What do you say?
It's fine with me.
Okay.
That's what it's part of what we're here to do. Part of it.
Part of it. Mostly
not
we're here.
the biggest part.
No, definitely not. We have 4.5 shows to talk about. The half of the podcast, not fair to say, but it's going to be a very small recap because they don't dive too much into the beer. But we have another episode of the Beers and Beards podcast.
Is that the way it is? Beers and Beards?
It's something. It's the mustachioed Bourbonites. I don't know. I've got nothing. I'm trying to make up something. But I'm just going to give a real brief, hey, they put out another episode. Always want to shout them out because they're half Cincinnatian. So I'm going to give them half of a recap.
Okay.
That sounded worse than it actually was. We have another episode of the Cincy Brewcast. We have the Weekly Pint.
You said it correctly.
Well, you can't say it wrong every single time. Then it loses the excitement. And are they going to do it right or wrong this time? And, we have the Craft Parenting Podcast. And then we have one that has finally made it back.
Back?
Yeah. I did it. We have a new episode of Shift Beers to talk about.
Holy shit.
Oh, you can hear the excitement in Marco's voice.
I'm glad. I'm so happy about it.
His face looks happier than his voice does.
I'm so happy.
We'll go with that. Caroline, as our guest, where do you want to start?
Let's start off with the beards.
The beards, all right.
We'll get the half podcast out of the way.
This is one, and again, the reason that I say it's like a half episode is they talk about bourbons and beers that they're drinking. Gary typically drinks the bourbon. David typically drinks the beer. And there have been a few episodes where a majority of the episode is focused on the beer or on the bourbon. Most of them, it's just talking about things that they've been doing, and it's kind of like half bourbon talk, a snippet of beer talk. This was another snippet of beer talk. So my quick recap on episode 137 of Beers and Beards, Bardstown Bourbon and Northern Row. Gary talked about Bardstown Bourbon, their Fusion series, and how he's not a fan of cask-aged spirits. And you can also find out what song he associates all of that with. Slight hint, it may have something to do with an orgy. Marco's eyes just got real big.
No further questions.
No, none. We're not taking questions for this one. About the 30-minute mark in the podcast, David started talking about the beer side of things. He made it to Oktoberfest. He talked about going to Esoteric Brewing, some of the great beers he had there. And then he picked up, in addition to a bunch of random Oktoberfest beers, one of those was Northern Rose Fester. It is their fest beer. This is their collaboration with German brewery. I'm going to say this entirely wrong, so Caroline, you can correct me. Schumie's Mexbrau.
I have not heard of that one, so I can't help you.
Okay, they are apparently the sister city for Harrison, Ohio, which we know you are going to be at the brewery in Harrison once that opens.
We're going to basically live there.
West Side, exactly.
I'm already talking to them about building an apartment over the brewery, so we don't even have to go home.
Nice. The collaboration beer, they actually brewed this exact same beer in Germany at Schumie's Mexbrau. I'm probably butchering this. In Northern Row, I'm really sorry. It was kind of a virtual collaboration. We had made, the Gnome had made the comment it would be really cool for them to ship a keg over to Cincinnati and vice versa. Mm-hmm. But by the time everything got everywhere, probably not going to work out that well. Apparently, Gary said that he has never had an Oktoberfest beer, to which I cry bullshit, but you never know. Maybe he hasn't. And what song does David associate with Oktoberfest beers? And I'll give you a hint. It has nothing to do with October. And that is the only clue that you get.
So Oktoberfest beers is a very broad category.
Oh, it absolutely is.
I mean, technically you could say an Oktoberfest beer is a beer that you drink in October while you're just drinking with buddies. Like that can be an Oktoberfest beer. We don't discriminate.
Wrong. No, not at all. But again, it was only a very brief segment of their podcast that talked about Northern Row, their beer. So just kind of a brief little shout out both to them and to let people know that there are other Cincinnati, half Cincinnati-ish based podcasts out there. If you want some bourbon and beer news, there you go. There's one for you. I guess we're just going to take a real quick break while we set up a couple of other things. And Marco's going to kill some more Yellow Jackets. And then we'll be right back.
Who is at my front door?
I have too many sliders now. I don't know what to do.
The Cub Scouts
That sounds like a
come to my
bad
house.
night. Too many sliders.
Too many sliders.
Sounds like a White Castle kind of problem.
How many sliders is too many sliders?
One.
Just one, yeah.
3 is the actual right answer. 2, you can balance it out with something else. You can water it down.
No.
But 3 takes over.
No, none. Just no. We have a not new voice on the show with I don't know what you're drinking. So do you want to say who you are, what you're drinking?
I think it's called Think Pink. I'm the Gnarly Gnome.
I think
I
we're
make
Dipper
podcasts. And I think, not Dipper Josh. Got too confusing. It's called Think Pink. It's a grisette from Jay Wakefield. I didn't take a sip yet.
Okay.
Jay Wakefield.
They tend to make some pretty good stuff.
Out
I've
of
never
Miami,
had
right?
those.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, while you are having your first sip of that, we have 4 shows to cover today. What do you think?
That's tasty.
Nice. Good. We have the Weekly Pint. We have Craft Parenting Pod. We have, believe it or not, Shift Beers. And we have the Cincinnati Brewcast.
All right. We cheers.
Prost. Yes.
When we say that name
now,
wrong, we cheers.
We cheers.
As
we
you
take
should
a drink.
at home.
So we now have 2 guests on the show, so you 2 get to fight it out over what podcast.
Fighting!
Like, oh, Jesus!
Ouch. Why would she hit me like that?
Didn't mean that seriously.
Hey,
Holy
Whatever you want. Jeez. At least she didn't take my beer.
let's do the gnome stuff.
The gnomes. Okay. All
Okay.
right. I'm just going to say we'll do Cincy Brewcast first. I'm not going to make you pick which gnome thing to do first
You don't want
because
to hit you.
we don't know. God, no. I want to start off the recap by saying get your beer, booze, and bonks tickets now. Soonish. They're available now. Get them now.
Get 'em now.
Beerboozeandbonks.com is where you can get the link, or thegnarlygnome.com, or I'm sure there are links on the Fulling Warehouse's Facebook page. I don't know about their website, but at least their Facebook page.
Good question. Hopefully.
But yeah, get them. It's going to be absolutely amazing. The event is on November the 11th from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. There's only one session this year. It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be insane.
It is going to be ridiculous. If you're not there, you don't like Cincinnati craft beer. So be there, fuck off.
Wow.
Is what
All
I'm going
right.
to say. Yeah, absolutely.
I support that.
I do not disagree with that.
This episode, Season 9, Episode 12, this was a very big episode, not only in length. It was a very long episode. This was down at Streetside. The title, Streetside Brewery Turned 7, which I didn't realize that they'd been around for 7 years already. It feels like both they've been around forever, but also they haven't been around for that long. They're one of those weird, amazing places. So you sat down with one of the owners, founders, Garrett Hickey, and you started this interview with, what is Streetside? How the hell do you start an interview off with that big of a question? It was fantastic.
Because it's like, it's one of
wow.
those, especially with a place like Streetside, they've gone through several different head brewers, and each one of those head brewers, like when they were there, like has this big piece of them that becomes part of the personality what the brewery is. And so at 7 years, when you look back at all of that, like there's still this underlying thing for me that is Streetside that I can't put into words. So I was hoping somebody else could.
And did they satisfy your question, or are you
No,
still...
nobody ever satisfies.
No.
You know, I'm never
No.
satisfied. It's worth a shot. I'll ask in another 7 years.
Sounds good. Speaking of in another 7 years, it was very interesting talking about the beginning of Streetside, the different locations that they were looking
Oh, yeah,
at
that was
before they
fun.
actually opened up. Like, I knew that they had looked at, and I don't remember if this was on one of your episodes or if they talked to someone else, but I knew that they had looked at potentially a place in North Side, which I think they could have fit very well, and I don't know if they would have been able to not that they're a big brewery, but I don't think they would have been able to be as big as they are in Northside.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Northern Kentucky, that one surprised me. The fact that, like, I can't picture Streetside in Northern Kentucky. Not that there's anything wrong with the breweries that exist in that space, but just their personality and how they're part of the community
What would their personality be?
This is true.
That's
it would be
what's
completely
so interesting
different.
to me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Who
How
do
would
you
they
become?
be different? Absolutely fantastic. You moved from there into collaboration. Why is it still so important to Streetside and some breweries, but other breweries have? I don't want to say it's not as important to them.
Definitely moved
but
away
you don't
from
see it right. You don't see it as much, and then the whole concept of virtual collaborations, which that's a weird thing to me. And Margaret, kind of as someone who's brewed before, and Caroline as someone who as a home brewer, the thought of virtual collaboration, like, can that be the same thing as this group of brewers being in the same building together making a beer?
No.
Like, instead of just sharing recipes, right? Like,
It's like-
Was that your Liam Neeson?
It's like this meeting could have been an email situation. Like, sure, okay, I can talk to you, I can see your face, and like,
Let me
we
send
can
you a
chit chat
recipe.
for an hour, but I'm not going to get to know you. Like, I get to know people best when it's like, hey, we can sit down and we can have a beer together. We don't have to get wasted. We don't have to even get buzzed. But just hey, we can just chit-chat about whatever. And that's when you kind of get into the meat and potatoes of how people run. And, hey, that's some cool thing that you guys are doing. How can we maybe twist that a bit and make it work for us?
I think that's where it gets lost. It's not the same as you're seeing the process from somebody else's space, the way they go about and approach that. I mean, along with the fact that you want to do collaborations with people that you want to hang around with or have an afternoon with or go and, I don't know, just set up a Bloody Mary bar and have, your two best second brewers brew the collaboration, or, I mean, whatever it is it's about sharing friendship and information and styles and techniques. That has to be just lost through a virtual collaboration. It's nice to put on a can. It's nice to advertise on a draft board, but it's just like going to some of these events. A lot of times you go to these events not because it helps the brand or people to know about your brand, because it's just lemonade stand, BS. You go because you get to talk to the people in the industry, and you get to find out what they're doing. You get to find out how they're doing it. You get to talk about the people that they found to do these things. And so that gets lost without that personal interaction, that face-to-face stuff.
But to kind of devil's advocate my own question there, how does that change the beer if John from Not Cincinnati Brewery, who's collaborating with, Jen from Cincinnati Craft Brewery, if John's pouring in the hops versus Jen, like how
it doesn't necessarily change the actual beer itself. It changes the spirit of the beer and the reason the beer exists and what comes from the beer next time, and
Perfect,
and why people do this thing. It just changes that soul of a collaboration. The beer itself, spoiler alert, most of the time when collaborations are happening, it's just somebody making the beer and everybody else is kind of hanging out and talking. Drinking.
Is that what happened with Big Sis? Like, everyone just
that is 100% what happened with Big Sis, especially this year.
Yes.
I think there were like maybe two people that were like, I got to do some kind of work. Everybody else
did you get to at least drop a single pellet?
I didn't do
nothing?
anything. No,
Okay.
I was afraid to touch anything.
I mean, after that 1 year of accidentally dry hopping everything, are you allowed to touch?
I did not accidentally dry hop anything. I
He
didn't
has to stand
accidentally do it.
behind like
I
a
never messed
line.
anything up. And normally it's a place where I'm able to like push a button or flip a lever or something. That's not the way darkness is.
Yeah, they're like you stay the
no
hell away
levers,
from this.
no buttons. It's very manual.
Draft versus package sales.
It's a professional.
It is very fickle and hard to predict, which I don't think that anyone would ever argue against. But hearing what what Garrett's experience and trying to figure out, last year we sold this many cases of this beer in package, but the year before we couldn't even move half of that, depending on what it is, and just how they tried to find that sweet spot. That was a fantastic, slightly, I don't want to call it a more technical part of the conversation, but it was a little more
inside
in-depth.
baseball.
Right. It was a little more of, this is what we're trying to figure out as the business, and not just this is about the beer and how we pick what we're going to give to the user or the consumer, but how we're going to give it to the consumer. Really cool stuff. Move from there into fruit talk, like what is the cheapest fruit?
Fruit talk.
That'll be our next podcast, fruit talk.
Yeah, fruit talk.
Yes.
These days, none of them, and trying to keep small children in their fruit is very expensive.
So
And they just give them a freaking pound of strawberries in 2 hours.
Strawberries. They'll go through the entire quart. They're like, I'm going to watch Bluey. I'll just eat the entire thing. And I'm like, dude, that was $7. What are you doing?
And they're like, I want more. And you're like, no. That was supposed to
time
last
for
like
an
a
apple.
week. Speaking of, it sounds like Apple Beret is going to be the next in the
Next
Beret
one.
series of
Yeah.
beers. So
I would totally buy it.
so would I.
100%.
So would I. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sure that Streetside will be doing the announcement soon. Who do you think? What cartoon character will be on the label for Apple Beret?
It better be Richard Scary, his neighborhood,
Oh,
and it's got to be
yes.
the worm driving the apple cart.
Perfect.
Anything other than that, and I will
Perfect.
not accept it.
Oh my God,
Probably
that's
be
perfect.
a stormtrooper, right? Because that
Richard Scary.
Yeah.
Dick Scary?
I mean,
little
sometimes.
scary dick.
Yeah, Scary
Sometimes.
Dick.
Sometimes. You move from fruits into some taproom innovations, trends. You kind of have to, have options to keep people coming in. You have to have seltzers or
I had no
something
idea that
gluten-free.
when they were moving into the space, like an earthquake totally leveled it, and then they had to rebuild the motherfucker.
Sucked to be them. At least it didn't flood. I mean,
they
they're
had to
pretty
find.
close
They
to
had
the
to track
floodplain.
down through missing persons the lady that owned the building, and then once they
Yes.
bought it,
Yes.
just an earthquake took
Kind
it.
of disappeared. Yeah. Yep.
You never know what'll happen in Cincinnati.
You never know.
One of these days, we're going to get the keyboard back. We haven't had the keyboard in quite a while.
Yeah,
Maybe tonight. Maybe tonight.
It's
will be
in the
night.
bag.
It
It's
is in the bag. We just haven't gotten it out.
No.
God damn it, Liam. Jesus, that guy. Even when we have guests on the show,
yeah.
he still thinks it's his
I think that was
thing.
actually his cousin or something. That
I
did
was
not
gonna
sound
say.
right.
So that's Leon Neeson.
Yes.
Yeah, Leon.
Leon Neeson.
Leon Neeson.
There's the family reunion happening on the other half of Higher Gravity.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Leon
the
Neeson.
Neesons. Good Lord. I do appreciate that they do try to have plenty of options for everyone. When Josh and I were there a couple weeks ago,
Did you have a high noon?
I did not have a high noon, but there was, and I felt so bad for her. There was a lady that came up. She was with a group of people, and she said, I need something that doesn't have sugar in it. And I'm like, I'm looking at the tap board, I'm looking at like the slush, and I'm going,
They pour her water.
Ice water.
she pretty much said, I can make you a Tito's with like seltzer water and maybe a splash of lime.
Sure.
She's like, but I don't know what, but there was at least something. So even the,
Aren't there some kind of sugars in alcohol though? Like, isn't that
well,
kind
right,
of?
right, but
There's
I'm guessing.
carbs, but
Yeast eat the sugar and poop out alcohol. That's my
Yeah, but they don't
basic
eat it all.
understanding of it.
Like,
Yeah.
there is,
Right.
like,
no,
unless-
there are
there are
unfermentable sugars.
Yeah, and I mean,
sure.
and I don't know. I didn't ask her, hey, why do you need something that's, it could be a personal preference, it could be a dietary need. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Drink whatever the hell you want and order whatever you want.
I'm going to need you to harass this woman so she can answer our question.
Next time I see her,
fine.
I will
It's just
absolutely.
keto
do
diet bullshit.
that. And it could be, but you know what? Whatever. Do what you do. It
I will
doesn't.
find you and I will ask you about your sugar. It's me, Leon.
Leon. Leon.
Leon Neeson, I absolutely love it. So, going back to the podcast, though,
Sure.
from there,
Sure.
Oh yeah, the podcast.
From there, hop talk. Everyone's favorite cat piss hop is being the cat piss is being bred out of it, which
that
I didn't
Cascade?
realize, but
It makes sense. No,
Or
Simcoe.
Simcoe,
That,
yeah.
It actually makes a lot of sense because, like, I've had a lot of Simcoe beers, and I, in my head, don't like Simcoe because
But
it
you
always
also
tastes
probably
like cat
don't
piss.
like cat piss, right?
I don't, as far as I know. I've never tried it by itself.
It doesn't seem appealing in any way, shape, or form. Yeah.
lately, over the last few years, like every time I have a beer that has Simcoe in it, I've kind of liked it. So maybe the Capus is just gone. I don't know.
So it could have been. I'm wondering if.
Or maybe they bred it out of me.
Oh. Never
Maybe
thought
I just
about it
love
that way.
Capus now.
Could be.
Does everybody
I am
know that
wondering
one
if
lady
that-
who smells like cat pee?
Yeah, there's always that one.
My
lady.
grandma?
Oh, you just
Oh,
insulted
hey,
his
I
grandma.
didn't- I did not call
Whoa,
her out.
Sorry,
I didn't
man.
know
I
you
didn't.
knew my grandma.
I mean, Marco knows a lot of people.
He does.
So you guys were almost an hour into the conversation before any talk of their 7th anniversary started, which the entire
Whoops.
title of the episode.
Whoops.
It was all fantastic conversation, so I wasn't upset. But you started talking about the anniversary, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what.
I feel like you just talked to him a month ago.
It was actually a really long time ago. I looked at usually it's once a year, and so I thought it was around the anniversary the last time. It was not. It was Speak of the Devil Day,
Oh,
that's
wow.
what it was.
which was like April
yeah, I was gonna
of
say that's
2022. So
spring.
it's been a while.
Really? It's been a while.
No,
Aw.
wrong podcast.
There are some absolutely phenomenal sounding beers that they're going to have for their anniversary. Not going to spoil all of them for you guys because you need to listen to this episode. But the tomato puree one,
Oh, yeah.
holy
Oh, yeah.
cow!
Holy
like,
shit.
I'm
The
not
most underutilized fruit in beer.
yeah.
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 Also,
I-
the most underutilized vegetable in beer.
It's not a vegetable.
Depends who you ask.
No.
My
No.
grandma says it's a vegetable.
I think the world's confused because he was in VeggieTales. Oh my goodness.
I don't know about these Veggie Tales you speak of.
2 hours later.
Exactly.
Things in the commercial. I get it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So speaking of VeggieTales and vegetables, wet hopping a beer is just like picking a tomato off a tree. And the moment Garrett realized what he had said with that was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Let's see, they talked about, again, all the anniversary beers. They all sound absolutely amazing. They talked about their new brewer, Victor, which, fantastic name, by the way. There aren't enough Victors in the world, in my opinion.
We need to get him on the show.
We really do. Well, your show first, and then he can come talk
Or
about your
whatever.
show
Somebody's
with us.
show.
Yeah, someone's shows. And something that Marco almost experienced earlier today are bugs in your beer, the newest adjunct. I mean, they exist no matter where you go. Depending on the time of year, something is going to end up in your drink.
It's the first time I've been to a brewery or a bar where they had to put a sign up on the bar
This
that
is
says,
true.
if you get a bug in your beer, tough luck, we're not going to buy you another beer.
I always make the joke like,
It's
"Hey,
an
there's-"
excellent source of protein.
right?" Or I always make, I'll make a joke like, "Hey, I didn't ask for this," but I mean, it's
Oh,
a
see, I
joke.
don't. I just let them kind of swim around for a little bit and get their fill, and then I pick them out and set them down.
Last note on season 9, episode 12 of the Cincy Brewcast. Streetside Brewery turned 7, and I loved this part. Streetside is training people to be diverse drinkers with their ever-changing tap list. And it's true, whenever you go in, you do know that you're typically going to get some type of IPA, some
But
type
you're
of
just
lighter
snacking
beer.
on grapes over there.
It's a
Tomato.
It's a
It's a tomato.
tomato from Joe and
Is
Caroline.
is that the guy from
Garden.
VeggieTales?
Yeah.
Steve or whatever?
Yeah.
All right, live action right now. Marco is going to eat a chocolate tomato.
Oh, what?
Oh,
It's a
What?
chocolate cherry tomato.
Chocolate cherry
It's a
tomato.
brownish color.
Does it taste
cherry
like
tomato.
chocolate?
It does
No.
not.
Okay, that's
I was
better
very
then.
disappointed. Marco, what do you think?
It's a tomato.
I think I picked it yesterday.
All right.
It's a tomatoey, for sure.
So what did we
thank
learn
you.
from this? Watch VeggieTales for the fun,
We
but not for
learned-
the indoctrination.
No, we learned pick tomatoes, not boogers.
And pick tomatoes from trees. And go to Streetside
Yeah.
for their 7th anniversary because, damn it, they're doing amazing things. And if you haven't been there yet, why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely, why not?
Sure.
All right, anyone have anything else before we move on to, before we take a break because Marco needs another beverage, unless you want to wait. It's up to you.
No, we'll take a break.
Okay. All right, and then we will talk about last night's episode of The Weekly Point. We'll be right back. Well, as you just heard from the rest of the tap room, we are
Back.
and
No.
fantastic.
Leon.
We are now going to talk about episode 185 of The Weekly Pint. It's not cursed, it's way simpler.
Yeah.
And I also have a note here because I wasn't sure what episode we were going to cover of Gnomes First. Beer, Booze, and Bonks. Get your tickets.
There is a link on the Foley Warehouse website.
Nice.
I didn't click on the link, but it should work.
But it is there.
TheGnarlyGnome.com/tickets will always take you to Beer, Booze, and Bonks tickets.
Nice.
Excellent.
Or something else.
Excellent. CincyTicket.com. That's where it exists as well.
Producer Nick
Producer Nick
what
is
is
bringing
this?
us
dropping off goodies.
We have a new best friend.
He's always been our best.
Have you heard about VeggieTales?
So the bottle's by you, Gnome. So what did Nick bring us?
This is from Equilibrium.
Oh, God, that smells good.
It is
does.
called a S'mores Blueprint.
Do you want to sniff?
It's an
Dude,
imperial
that might
stout
even kill him.
with-
It smells like lactose.
with
Oh my
marshmallow,
God.
cocoa
That smells
nibs,
awesome.
and graham crackers. It is beer balanced by science. Oh, and
Science.
It's got all kinds of blueprints. There's a top view, an isometric view, a side view of a s'more. It's nice.
So what I think would be really, really cool is if everyone got together and found out how to watch Gnome at his debut in his very first cheerleading extravaganza.
Are they going to live stream that?
Yeah, live stream.
I will pay someone
stream.
money
Yes.
to get the link if it's live
I
stream.
don't think they
So
live
this
stream
this
it.
is my way of trying to pull all of this back into the Weekly Pint.
Oh,
Since
okay.
we are already, I don't even want to say in the weeds. We have like drowned ourselves
Would you
under.
like a reading of one of the cheers?
Yes, I absolutely
This
would.
is from Leon Neeson. Alligator, crocodile. Let's get funky for a while. Go, Indians, go. Go, Indians, go.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Holy
shit.
Like this
That was
place,
inspiring.
this
right?
place got quiet. Like you just commanded
They're fired up.
the
They're ready
room.
to
Yeah.
cheer somebody on.
Well, they're in awe right now.
Well, Leon
And then-
Neeson's
Getting
voice.
funky
Leon.
Neeson
Leon.
voice was impactful to that.
Holy
Because, I mean,
crap,
like, if
that's
Frank Stallone said it, it would be totally different.
Do we get any like hints on the
You gotta show up for
motions that
Gotta
go
show
with
up.
the shipper? Okay. We will be there. We will live stream it.
It's early in the morning, guys. You're not going to be there. It's
No.
really, it's early.
Okay,
No,
what's
no.
early to you may not be early to.
It's like a 9 o'clock football game.
Oh,
I run
dude,
a bar.
I've already
That's too early for me.
No, that is. I'm already up like
Is
4
it on the way to
hours.
the
already
pumpkin
did
patch?
12
'Cause
miles
we might
on the
be able
bike
to swing
trail.
by.
It depends what
Exactly.
pumpkin patch.
Exactly.
It's all on the
I've
west
already
side,
biked
so
12
probably
miles
not.
and
Probably
hit
not
up
on the
3
way.
breweries.
It's
by
not in
9 a.m., I'm
Hamilton.
telling you.
No, definitely not in Hamilton.
So the main, I will say the main topic of this episode, but it was and it wasn't.
It was.
R.I.P. to Muller Brew Barn, which they had literally posted
Monroe.
a day or two before Monroe.
Monroe.
Monroe is the proper way to pronuncificate that
Morrow?
town way. Morrow, yes.
Monraro.
Monmorrow. So you were very confused about you called it Morrow, like little mini thread. We could tell from your facial expression, like you're going, I don't even know what this is.
Sometimes
down the
I
street
miss
from the
part of
Hustler
the
shop.
conversation.
You didn't miss part of the conversation. We all missed
No,
it.
no. So when Josh and I were going up to Figley for Figtoberfest, I
After the
said-
Hustler shop.
After the Affler? Wow. After the Hustler shop, which the one downtown was always kind of fun to go
Do
into.
they sell
just, you know,
lederhosen at the Hustler shop?
Not those kind.
Not ones that you can wear in public.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. I said, "Oh, we're looking for the Morrow exit, right?" And Josh is like, "No, Monroe." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm thinking 71, not 75." And so then he kind of called me
valid.
out. You called it Morrow, and I'm like, "No, I was talking about a different place. It was
Different place.
fine." You had a lot of thoughts and opinions on them closing.
Still have a lot of thoughts and opinions.
And my first thought was, I wonder if because I mean, all I saw was the social media post that they made to everyone. Hey, you know, after time, we've made this difficult decision. You know, thank you for your patronage. My first thought was, did they pull a Braxton on all their employees? Which,
You know
touching
what,
onto that, Braxton just reopened the Cincinnati.
They were always going to reopen.
Right. No. But I'm just saying, the Braxton Cincinnati taproom / event space just reopened, and it's kind of a.
I don't know that the rumors of Braxton not offering jobs to all of their
Okay.
employees are necessarily 100% true.
Right. Yeah. I mean, all I know is what
I
you
don't know
see
that they're
online,
not.
which you don't. I never.
But I've
put-
heard conflicting reports from multiple people.
unless it comes from very specific people. I don't believe it or not, I don't believe everything I read on the internet. I always go, there's got to be more to the story.
Right.
I'm going to throw this back a couple of years to, and I'm not going to go into specifics.
VeggieTales.
If you know, you know, but
When that dude lost his hairbrush.
During COVID, a local brewery had a fund for their employees, and then things, whatever.
Taps. Yeah, those guys.
Yeah. You can say it.
I remember that.
But I made
dick move.
It was during beer event season, so one of my parody songs was about that situation. I got a couple people going, "Wow, really?" And I'm like, I will say this first and foremost. There are probably 5 different sides to this story that I will never know. I have absolutely no idea what is actually happening behind those doors between the employee and the employer. So I always take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt.
Sure.
So my first thought was more in that joking sense. Oh, I wonder if they did a, Braxton, hey, so by the way, we're closed. We'll reach out to you if we want you to come back when. And again, huge shaker full of salt on if that was factual or not. I don't know. I'm not trying to say one way or another.
I don't
Shaker salt.
I don't think that they offered any jobs at all from my understanding.
Okay.
But also I haven't talked to anybody on the production side, which is where I'm the most curious of what's happening there.
How much? So they were actively, and this is I didn't make it out to Muller Brew Barn before they closed. I didn't,
You were
I know
right
they were
there.
Still, I know I was 5 minutes away, and we decided to go elsewhere and had a fantastic time.
Yeah. And that most of us at the table.
I forgot
Were
about
they-
that. You guys
Dude,
were
it was
gonna
2
go there.
days
Caroline.
ago. Good
Caroline
Lord.
wasn't there. I don't know why.
So were they? I know they still did a bulk of their production in. I almost said Sault Ste. Marie again. Why the hell am I like this?
Maria Stein?
Maria Stein. I don't know why I'm like this. I don't know.
But they moved all the
geography.
packaging to
I don't know that,
Monroe.
I don't know
Yeah, I didn't know.
if all of it was there.
So were they doing some production and packaging at the Monroe
They were
facility?
they were definitely
Okay,
doing production and packaging there.
Okay, and that's what I didn't know.
And they were definitely doing production and probably packaging up in Maria Stein also.
Okay.
And they're doing production in Troy, and they're doing production in Dayton. Just how far those travel is still confusing. It doesn't
Right.
make
Oh,
sense.
yeah, agreed. One of the things that you touched on is if you want people to drive to a place like, I'll just say the location to Monroe, to somewhere that really is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's in kind of I don't want to say beer oasis, because there are a lot of breweries in that small, just say 5-10 mile radius. But because it is a drive for people that aren't living in that general area, if you've got to give people a reason to drive to some of the locations. The space itself can't be the only reason. There has to be good beer. There has to be good food. There have to be multiple check boxes that are being checked off to be successful. And I don't know. Again, I never made it there, so I have zero personal experience on was the space really good and it was just the beer, or was the beer not enough and it was about the space. Doesn't sound like it from what you were saying, but I mean, again, that's me putting words into.
I think they were lacking on all 3 points, which means you're destined to close.
So they're leaving behind a tap room, a production space, and a canning line. You said that people think the space is cursed. I mean, the title of the episode, it's not cursed. However, it's probably not cursed, but it's definitely haunted. I did a bit of Googling and some research on this. There were haunted brewery tours at Rivertowne Brewing.
No, not this
Oh,
Rivertowne.
yeah. I mean, this one was in Pittsburgh, but the name's the same, so I'm running with it.
So say the old
This is Julia's truth.
the old
This is
Rivertowne.
my
No,
truth.
this
Yeah.
is I do have truth on this.
Ooh,
the
okay.
old Rivertowne space in Lockland. I never met the ghost. but
Cerveza
I've-
Ortega,
Cerveceria Ortega.
Yeah.
I've heard from
Still
many
a thing?
people.
Still
As
a
far as
thing?
I know, I haven't been there. They're only open on like
I heard they had some great
Fridays or
Modelo's
something.
on tap.
great, not on tap. Nope, in cans.
Can not even bottles?
Not even on tap.
Bottles?
Nope. Just
Oh,
cans.
wow. Okay.
That space was haunted from what I've.
So the
understood.
ghost may have traveled with them.
I don't think it works that way.
It totally
Might.
does.
No, they can haunt an object. They don't just follow people around.
But what if
right?
that object is moved from the original Rivertowne location
like a
to the new
haunted
one?
fermenter. I didn't
Yes,
even
and then
think
it
of
was
that.
left there. I mean, it's
true.
possible. It's possible.
It is possible.
I don't know if it's plausible, but it's absolutely possible.
Haunted barrel.
That led to, from everyone that was participating in the weekly pint, which again, if you're not participating in the weekly pint, watching it live Monday nights around 9:30 p.m., it's an absolute blast. It is a happy hour with everyone. Doesn't matter if you're drinking or not, but just the conversations and the little rabbit holes that we go. It is more fun if you're
What
drinking.
are you doing otherwise? I mean,
Wrestling a toddler to go to bed.
Watching the
Yeah.
fucking Dolphins play on Monday night? Is that what you're doing?
It was actually the Browns
I was going
and
to
the
say,
Steelers.
or not watching a football game because you just don't want either team to win. So you're just not going to admit that it exists.
Yep.
With that being said, best recovery wishes to Chubb because,
Yeah,
not good.
It's not pretty.
I didn't see it. I don't want to see
Glad.
it, but
I saw the link and they said it was bad.
well, you know it's
Gotta click on
bad.
it.
You know it's bad when ESPN, none of the like sports news outlets will replay it.
Yeah.
That's when you know things are
I
bad.
bit the pepper.
Yeah, how was it? Spicy
So far,
yet?
so good.
Okay, all right. We'll check back in with you in about 45 seconds.
The second bite will get you.
No, he did
Well,
like
who
the
said
whole
I was going to do that?
How big of a bite you take? Let me see.
the whole thing.
It's not the whole thing.
Oh,
It took like a little tiny like.
come on,
kid
man! Now
bite.
you're gonna make me.
I did it.
I hate vegetables and vegetal flavored.
It was very vegetal.
vegetal flavored things. This is
It
not
was very
flavored.
vegetal.
This is just
so
pure
Caroline
red or green.
brought over some tomatoes and peppers.
Share the red one with Josh because that allegedly the red pepper. If you let the jalapeno get red, it becomes more spicy than if it's just green.
So,
Oh, these are jalapenos. I thought they were
Yes.
okay.
No, these are jalapenos.
jalapeno.
They were
So the
supposed to be
next-
pimentos
That was very
or something like
judgmental
that.
the way she said that. To you. Oh, these are
It
jalapenos.
was.
Well, no. I thought that she had said in a previous
I'll do
episode
a
of Crest
second
Parenting
then.
Pod that she didn't think they were
Good
spicy
crunch.
peppers, all like jalapenos. That they were
Yeah, that's way
another
spicier.
pepper. Yeah.
Second bite's way
The
spicy.
second one, you got the soul of the pepper. You got the
Yeah.
middle. Oh, no
There were
thanks.
there were
I
a lot
don't
of
want that pepper you chewed on.
speculations on what local brewery might expand to that space. There are a lot of places that people say, "Oh, I want this brewery to move into that space. I want that brewery to move into
what
that
is this?
space."
snack.
None.
There is still no
bunch of
confirmation that they're actually out of the
Right,
space.
right. I mean, it's been a
here's
day.
Here's some fun
Yeah, do it.
trivia, and I don't. Yeah, okay. I mean, what is the over under? What do you guys think? How many emails, text messages, or social media?
Okay, Caroline just pulled out
messages?
a 1 pound bag of
She found a
salami,
bag of
out of her
salami.
bag.
I figured that Marco could eat that if he couldn't eat anything else that I
Oh
brought.
my god, that
hams
was
and ham?
Oh my god, and Marco just took like 5 pieces of salami and shoved them into his mouth at once.
Delicious.
Oh my god.
No.
I'm sorry, you were
So
saying
Caroline travels with pita bread and salami.
Meat.
I'm a mom. That's what I have to bring snacks.
Yeah, this is true.
We usually go with like goldfish.
My kids have graduated beyond
Meat
that.
and vegetables is intense.
The whole charcuterie board in here.
So you were saying that there's no even
But
word
what
that
it-
they're even out of the space,
what
which
is-
is right. It's been a day, not
what
even a
is
full
the-
day since the announcement.
What is the over under for how many emails, text messages, or social media messages that you think I got today from
Ooh.
other breweries asking for contact information for Muller Brew Barn so that they could buy their shit?
Oh,
15.
0.
That's way high.
I figured it was way high.
I'm saying that you have not to specifically contact information to buy their shit. I'm saying you have
buy their shit meaning
any yet.
front of the house or back of the house or all of it.
the whole shebang.
No specific, just to buy their shit.
I'm gonna say you haven't gotten any yet.
Okay. 0 is the over under.
Oh, that's
15
awesome.
is obviously
so
too
15
high.
is too high, 0 is too low.
Go, Marco.
I'm
But
gonna
am I going to be the
go
closest without going over?
8.
This is the Price is Right rules. 8.
No, you guys both went. You both went over. It's 4. You were close.
Okay.
On your second guess.
My actual guess was going to be 3.
Which kind of surprised me.
That is interesting.
But again, I didn't ask for details on what they were looking for or what exactly that meant because
Sure.
there's
All I want-
you could be like I just want one fermenter or
Right.
I want to buy all their
so
chairs. I
okay.
don't know the specifics of what they were wanting to
Oh.
buy.
Gotcha. Okay, so I was looking at it as okay, like the whole thing. I wasn't thinking of it as individual components
I don't
within.
know.
So that
No,
was my
it's
bad.
good.
Yeah,
I
okay,
don't know the
okay.
specifics.
This is true. Okay. All I know is I want there to be. I mean, it's a pretty good sized space up there. Like it's
Yeah.
it's
The-
a very good sized
The
space.
production
I
space
want-
is enormous.
It's massive.
I just want there
It
to
is-
be a massive dedicated space for goat yoga because freaking every goddamn brewery is doing
I think
goat
the
yoga
taproom
now.
space is too small.
For goat yoga, yeah. But
Maybe.
They can go hang out around the fermenters. That's not a health issue at all.
does anyone have anything else to say about this week's episode of The Weekly Pint?
No.
All right, Leon, you don't count. Anyone else at the table?
No, what I would say is that there are a lot of people who, it seems that had events scheduled at that place, just
True.
given the Facebook messages and stuff.
True.
Some of them have found other places, and I hope all of them find an alternative place. And the place I work at, which I will not shout out, you can figure it out. If you're in that area looking for
Reach
a
out
place,
to other local breweries.
Listen
and
to a specific episode of Cincy Brewcast, and Marco shouted out.
you can, reach out and we'll point you in the right direction to make that happen. So
it's kind of this is where I kind of struggle with things like this. Not that I want a place to close or I feel good when a place closes or anything, but it makes me really not like a company when they do things the way that it seems Moeller Brew Barn did it. You have an anniversary party, which is great. You have employees that show up for the anniversary party, having a good time, celebrating with you.
Thinking, hey, what are we
celebrating
going to
this-
look like in 5 years?
Celebrating this anniversary of your company, something that they have gotten behind and support. And then the next day,
Not even 48 hours later, yeah.
you fire them, which is fine. You have to fire them if you're closing. I get that, but you got to give them a little bit of heads up, and that's kind of like a jerk move to me.
Or why bother celebrating the anniversary if you know?
Right, why mention
Just
it if it's
go quietly into the night.
On top of that, to have parties scheduled, it's not. Especially,
It's not a good situation.
Especially
It's
no
not a
matter
great
how.
PR situation.
you could still host a private party in a space that you still own.
This is
And
very
bring
true.
people in to satisfy your commitment that you made to somebody else.
This is
That's-
very
Heck, you could
true.
turn it into like an event space where it's just like that's
Even-
all you do is you're open.
And I'm
Just-
I'm not suggesting that they do that long term, but like to satisfy the commitments that
That
you
they
made
had
to
already
other
made.
people.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
it's.
I agree.
I don't like it,
I agree.
but that's what happens when you have invasive species that come
Yep.
down.
Yep.
They don't get it.
Yep. I mean, some of them thrive. Most of them just don't.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, there are empty glasses. There are bathroom breaks that need to be taken. So, quick break, and then we will come back with Craft Parenting Pod and Shift Beers.
Nice.
If you decided to. And some more. Leon.
Some more.
S'mores! Well, you and Gnome both have new beer, so you have
Yeah.
something to quell the heat with. What did you guys got the same thing?
not gonna help.
What you drinking?
It's not. I have Oktoberfest from Masthead Brewing.
Excellent.
I have. Let me read this here. This is from Cleveland. Oh, Masthead Brewing. Oh, it's Oktoberfest from Masthead Brewing. Wait, that's that. Oh, same thing.
Same thing. Nice.
Cool.
Same thing.
Marco, what do you think?
I think it's not helping.
Beer does not help for the
No,
record.
it does not. It does not. And Gnome, once you get your nose deep into that and a nice big mouthful of. Is that more of a fest beer? I'm trying to look just based on color from
It's a
this
hybrid.
side. Hybrid. What do you think?
It's good.
Well, there you go.
It's not the best Oktoberfest I've had this year, but I've had a lot of Oktoberfests.
I mean,
this year.
doing the Oktoberfest quest, right? That's a very high bar to
Where
cover.
are we meeting
the-
up for the finally?
Don't know yet.
Okay.
Still got to send an email out. It's on my list.
All right,
Leave me alone.
all right. So
Do we have a date? I need to book my calendar
I don't
out.
have a date. It's up to the venue. It'll
So
be
we
in
are-
October, hopefully.
So for those of you listening to the unedited Patreon episode, we are already an hour and 34 minutes in, and we have 2 podcasts left to cover. So, and Marco is. So first, Marco was dying because there were yellow jackets in the windows, and now he's dying because he decided it was a good idea to eat an entire jalapeno.
I recommended against it for the record.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Yeah. The tongue is struggling.
Well, we'll see how Marco is able to enunciate words.
Let me
as
know
we
when you can
continue.
feel your face again.
Hi.
So, do
Yeah.
we want to
I'll
talk
give
about?
you $5 to stick your finger in the pepper hole, like the little piece of the pepper that's left in its hole, and then go like this.
Well, I see some seeds left in the bag. Just put the seeds on your tongue and just let them sit. Let them marinate in your mouth.
I'm good.
I'm snort the seeds.
No, Marco's good. Marco's good. Let's move on to the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Yeah.
Because I feel that because it's been so long since we've had an episode of Shift Beers.
It's been a while.
It's been a
I
while.
want to kind of close out with that one, and I just realized that I did not write down the episode number for this episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast. I believe it's 116. Maybe?
I don't know.
Caroline.
I can just flip back in
117,
my
I
notes.
think.
It is
Just made that up.
episode 117.
118.
18. Oh my God, I have episode 116. I don't have a 117.
I think the
Oh, that
117 we
was
didn't talk about beer.
That's right. I listened to it. There wasn't a lot of beer talk. But good call, no.
Yeah, I'm good at
you,
this.
You win. I don't know what you win, but you win.
You want some
Oktoberfest.
spicy pepper?
Nope. Don't want it. Just observing Marco instead and watching his reaction to the pepper.
This is episode 118.
Sweating and my eyes are watering.
Episode 118, 13 Below celebrates their 6th anniversary, which again, much like Streetside and their 7th, I didn't realize it had already been 6 years that 13 Below
Yeah.
had been in existence. That is absolutely fantastic. No thanks to Gnome, who their very first podcast
Yeah, I messed
episode
them up. I
was
jinxed
with
them.
Gnome, and there was the threat of a flood, and they're like, oh no, this place like almost never
Never
floods.
floods.
It's like a
Never
100, 200 year
We
flood.
checked. It's been 237 years. We're fine.
2 days later, you have pictures of their brewer pouring himself a beer while wearing like waist-high waders, and the water is pretty much up to his knees.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. This was a shorter episode for you guys.
It was.
But you did 2 episodes in one night, it sounds like.
We did,
A
and
little, as a little teaser.
If we had known how the scheduling was going to work out, we probably would have tried to pull Doug in a lot sooner than we did.
Gotcha.
And that would have negated his time commitment.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we could have had
fair.
a longer thing. Now, granted, if I got a volunteer at this table that wants to watch the kids for an hour,
Hell
That's
no.
not gonna happen.
No.
dang it.
No. Leon.
Leon?
No.
All right.
So the episode started as a lot of the episodes do with what you did over the weekend and over the previous week or the time from your previous podcast episode. Marco is smacking into the mic
Yeah, I'm like,
with the,
what did I just do?
with the heat. I can promise you this, Marco. What you did was much less stupid than me eating that Reaper. I
Well,
guarantee.
yeah, I wouldn't have eaten a Reaper.
I guarantee you that.
I wouldn't have done it.
I could
Here,
not
Marco,
live for
put
like.
this in your mouth.
No, no.
Oh.
Put that away.
I'm pointing.
There are
that
children
away.
here.
Jeez.
You guys talked about having marble runs in your house, and all I'm going to say is Yella's Marble Runs is the only YouTube marble channel that is worth anything.
What kind
at
of
all.
runs?
Marble runs.
Oh, like actual. Okay.
Like marble,
I thought we
like
were
the-
going back to the
the vegetables.
the sliders, and then the
Not how Marco's going to be feeling
peppers,
tomorrow.
and man, all of that. Just okay.
Oh, I didn't even think about that until just now. Man, that's
Yeah.
going to be
You're
terrible.
gonna have the marble runs. That's what they call it.
The first half of the episode was you guys talking about.
No, just
Well,
Joe. I was in the
you're
middle of
right.
wrestling Elliot to convince him to
Yeah.
go to bed.
He's the Michael Jackson of German dancing.
I'm trying to include you in the entire episode. So if you don't want to be
I mean,
part of
I helped him edit it,
That counts.
so
it does. Yeah, it does. No. You should put a thing here. No. Do a thing here. I can't.
you're not
hear,
doing
I'm
that right. Not like that.
Oh man. The second half of the episode was recorded on location at 13 Below, and they are celebrating
One of my
this,
nicknames in high school, by the way.
what, this weekend or 13
13
Below?
Below.
Oh. This weekend, so when this episode airs, it'll be day one of the 3-day anniversary weekend, which is the 22nd through the 24th of August. I almost said October. It is not October yet.
September.
September.
Oh my God.
you missed a whole month.
Wow.
It's like that scene from Billy Madison. What day is it?
It's I
don't know.
I don't know.
October.
September 22nd through the 24th is, again, as you're listening to this, you still have like 3 days worth of anniversary celebration to do down at 13 Below.
Get over there.
And the important day is Sunday when they have alcohol-themed trivia.
Yes.
Sunday.
So I will say I did find it a little funny that like Joe covered everything that was happening over the anniversary weekend, and then he's like, okay, now we're going to throw it over to the actual interview, which went over the exact
I think he forgot.
100% the
Granted,
same shit.
I
was-
think
it
he
was
also recorded this at like
wonderful.
10 o'clock at night. So
he was just like,
after we had spent the day at Kings Island.
You
So
guys
we were
already
not there.
done. Yeah. I
We
even
were
have a
fried.
note like, so you guys interviewed Doug.
Was he fried,
who
and then did he
is-
get baked?
Oh. Okay, wait a second. You mean
Got to be a button for that.
There is. I just have to remember which button it actually is. And what's amazing is it's like with you here at the table, you start laughing. I don't know where the actual recording ends, the button ends, and where you start like live. The actual interview with Doug, who is one of the co-founders of 13 Below, starts at about the 18-minute mark of the episode. It was, and Joe covered this before this started, it was a bit rushed because Doug is an unbelievably busy man, and they have an anniversary party that they're trying to
I can't even
to
get him on my
figure
show
out.
anymore. He's too busy.
Well, you caused their damn location to flood.
I did flood the location.
Yeah, so-
with
Bad
the river,
juju.
with the giant river. I have no control over that. River.
That's what you say.
No.
I don't know. Caroline, you may have accidentally revealed one of those special release beers that they were going to be having.
It's possible.
That Doug was gracious enough to give you in confidence. And what do? That red button is on. You're recording. You're like, oh, although
My
I don't.
desire to try the latest and greatest beer offerings might have led to some spoilers.
However, I will say, because he is not here, Joe could have edited that out.
He could have.
He could have added, a beep, anything.
He also could have
Instead-
edited out the section where he listed the wrong name for their fest beer. Because I corrected him, but he left it in. It's Prost.
What he could have done is he could have done something like this. He could have just clipped it and went, edit it out section, edit it out section, edit it out section.
Can you send me that audio, Julia? We'll start putting it in our podcast.
Yes. You gave some, not you, Doug gave some history about 13 Below, the flood in
Seen that
2018,
Flexos
which
commercial?
is when
So they flooded in 2018.
they flooded in 2018.
But the beer stayed fine, and
Yes.
they might have illegally came in and drank some of the beer.
How would that have been illegal?
Because
What's like legit question? If it's their
if
place,
the city
and
of
their-
Cincinnati said, hey, you can't go into this area because it is dangerous, but then you went into that area anyway.
But it doesn't like level, and I'm only looking at this from like air quotes, snow emergency levels. Like if it's one level, aren't there still certain people that, depending on what's going on, like let's say there was a hospital, whatever in that area, they would still have to go there. Could
I don't know
business
that a brewery
owners-
is a hospital.
No, but I'm just
I don't
saying
know
if
that.
I mean,
if
I would
you-
argue that the brewery is just as important as the hospital.
Oh,
but
for sure. But if you're like a business owner in that area, would they really say, no, you can't check on?
Yeah, they would. Because,
Would they? Okay,
yeah, because
okay.
it's dangerous because the whole building could like collapse on
That's
you. It's
okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's
or like
fair.
the floodwaters can
wash you
wash
away.
you,
away.
to Kentucky or somewhere terrible.
Or wash an alligator up.
I mean, there's nothing worse than getting washed away to Kentucky. So
That's true.
So you caused their building to flood in 2018,
Did.
which was kind of a shit move, but at the same time, you proved their perseverance. If it wasn't for you and the flood,
Actually,
No, I know.
building, guys.
he turned on a valve and he was like, "We'll see if they last." No, not at all.
He
But
just
what
stood
was-
on the top with his hands on his hips like in a fist and just peed till it flooded.
I mean, after you drink enough, not entirely out of the realm of
Been a
possibility.
little worried sometimes. Like, this is,
so-
how is it going to, I don't know.
But then what was really cool is, and I don't know how many people are even aware of this, is Mad Tree actually reached out and said, hey, do you need help cleaning up after this?
Yeah.
And Doug's like, we would absolutely love
Yeah.
some help
Shout out to
cleaning up
Mad
after
Tree. I
this. So
remember
shout-
that.
Yeah, I do as
Mad
well.
Tree
I
has
remember
always
seeing-
been willing to help.
I remember seeing that as a person in the brewing community, thinking, "Man, that's awesome that they did that."
Yeah.
And also thinking, "I don't know where your brewery is. I'm sorry, unfortunately, I can't."
I mean,
Mad Tree-
13
yeah,
miles
it's in Oakley.
below the main center of the city of Cincinnati down the Ohio River.
13 nautical miles, yes.
Nautical miles,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
That doesn't
that's
help
outside
Marco
of my
at all.
bubble.
It doesn't.
It's outside of my bubble.
It's one of the furthest points you can get while still being in the city of Cincinnati.
Anyway, to kind of like wrap up, this recap has gone on longer than the episode itself. They've been able to keep their beer at around $6 a pint. Their wedding day is their highest ABV beer so far.
Good luck in the future.
When you say keep it at $6 a pint, it wasn't at $6 a pint when they opened, right?
They're keeping it low at around $6 a beer, yeah.
What was it when they opened?
I don't know. They didn't mention that on the podcast, and I don't
feel like
Okay.
it might have been like 5.
It was always pretty,
But it's always been pretty
very
it's-
reasonable.
It is hard to compete with with Cabana, where they've got like 350 Bud Lights.
They want to continue to try to expand within their community, so look for a second, third, and possibly fourth location coming soon. They would love to get one directly across the river from where they are and have Anderson Ferry version 2, like kind of take you back and forth between both locations, which would be phenomenal.
What I heard was they were going to have the string cans, and it was going to be you could order your beer via the string can, and they'd send it back to the pulley
Excellent.
system.
Well,
Excellent.
but by the time it gets to you over
Air
to
cannon.
Ohio,
Air cannons are better.
ooh, just
Ah,
Like the hot dog cannon, you just hear.
fan freaking tastic.
Watch out, Grandma!
The last note
your
that
poor grandma.
My son said I could catch this.
oh my goodness.
Grandson.
The last note that I had on this episode
the eye.
is keep an eye out for another future episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast because they will be back at 13 Below.
That's the
And
goal.
are there any teasers you can give us about what is to come for the Craft Parenting Podcast, either as it relates to 13 Below or otherwise?
You'll hear some familiar voices, but we probably won't talk about some things
I
that
hope
you're
it's Joe.
used
I
to
hope it's
hearing
Joe.
them.
Oh God, if it's
Say.
Joe, that would be so exciting.
love him.
Oh, he's such a great guy.
We might have been
hands
able to
and
get
all.
him. He's really hard to schedule, but we might have been able to make it work.
Oh, I'm so
Man,
excited.
That's awesome.
The Michael Jackson of German dancing.
All right. Any other notes on Craft Parenting Pod? Because we have one more show to talk about. We are at almost 2 hours, and it
They
is
still count as a show.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Does
They're one of
any-
those interweb thing,
one of those-
conflangled things.
Does,
One of those
does anyone
internet
need
radio
to get
things.
another beverage before we get started on the last show to make sure that they have something to cheers with by the time we hit the end of this?
My grandson can always cheers.
I'm good.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's do this. Shift Beers made it
Back.
I did it!
Yay! It only took 2 hours. And you, God damn it! We were so close.
She threw me off.
This was episode 117. We're 3. This is their 3rd anniversary episode, which I mean,
It's your anniversary.
when you stop for so long, do you really get to claim your anniversary episode?
Can we?
No.
Thank you, Leon.
Yeah. Can we argue that you've got to at least semi-regularly put out an episode so you can call it that 3-year anniversary? Otherwise, we're just at
Although
2.5.
Well, no, it's not a year anniversary, but Sonder Stories, if they do an Oktoberfest episode, that will be number 100. So
That's a totally different thing.
that's fair. That's fair. I'm
If they
just
try to
bringing-
call it their 6th anniversary and they haven't put out an episode for
If you say we've done
10
100
and a half
episodes,
months.
that's an actual number.
True.
Yeah.
Just saying 3 years. Well,
You
you're
can't do
regular.
one podcast and then 10 years later do another podcast. And be like, we've been podcasting for 10 years. No, you did 2 episodes.
Excellent. This is true. And it was very apparent that they didn't remember in any way, shape, or form how the hell their podcast worked.
Nope.
They were like, "Hey, I think howdly doodly, I'm marketing. I think it was."
Well, to
it
be
was a
fair,
rough start.
their job titles are a little confusing now.
This is true. I still want to know if one of them is still the chicken nugget connoisseur, or if that has been flung to the wayside.
He will always be the chicken nugget connoisseur. Whether it's in writing is a whole separate thing.
This episode was just Josh and Chris bringing the Shift Beers back to all of us. Beth was climbing mountains in Colorado, and Brian was doing some bullshit about getting married. I don't know what's wrong with that guy, but he decided they want to record an episode of Shift Beers. How do I get out of this? I know. I'm going to get
Get
hitched.
married.
I had to send an angry text message.
Oh.
This is way kind of inside baseball and way kind of personal gnome life. Guess what my wedding anniversary is? Yeah, September
no.
11th. That's my wedding anniversary.
Oh, no.
And they spent the first half of the show shitting on people who had that as an anniversary and how
But-
still it's
Okay, so because they called us out for calling them out on how long their drinking segment is, yes, it was fucking 20 minutes long.
Correct.
However, as we have said before, their drinking segments are always fantastic because it gives you a peek about their lives and what they're doing and the fun that they're having.
It's a get into the life.
Yeah, so as much as we like pretend to give them shit about like, you know, the drinking segment taking up 3/4 of the episode, it's phenomenal.
It's also hard to sum up
fun.
what you've been drinking for the last 6 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, you
There
take
is
6
a
months
lot
off.
going
I mean,
on.
you're going to condense that? I mean, let's go.
So some of the things that they talked about in the episode, is Mike's Harder Lemonade really that hard?
No.
No. No.
If my
Depends on what you're
sister-in-law will
comparing
drink
it
it,
to.
no.
Josh talked again about trying to drink an entire 30 rack in a day, which led to the conversation, what is your dream 30 rack? Which would be 5 6-packs. So like if you could build your own, what would make up that perfect 30 rack to you? Which was a fun conversation.
Do I have to drink it in a day?
No.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
It's
Oh,
shift
yeah.
beers.
Oh,
Yes.
True.
yes.
Of course
Yeah.
you do.
Yes, let's go.
It's got to be in one sitting.
All right.
God.
Caroline.
I would die.
Let's go, Caroline.
So it probably would have to start off with like, if we're going to do 5 separate 6-packs, they're going to make up this 30th rack. Some kind of Oktoberfest.
Do we have fanfare for
I have a feeling
everyone?
yours is going to
No,
be very
this
close
has
to
gone
mine.
on.
All right, there we go. Number 1.
Some kind of Schwarzbier.
All right.
Marky was running the board, guys, just so you know. This is not me.
A lager?
Yeah, but you're not calling them out.
No. And then 2 light lagers. Probably Cincy Reigns because that's one of my favorites these days. Mostly just because it's juicy stuff.
Fantastic.
We going to go around the horn?
No, because we're over 2
no,
hours
all right,
in.
let's
Well,
go.
let's
go.
keep on doing this. They talked about doing kickoff shots, which I think is a fantastic idea. I might start to incorporate that into my sports ball watching because why the
Where do
hell
they
not?
post those to?
Instagram.
But no, they post them somewhere, right?
It's-
There's
I
probably
don't
some
know.
other beer group or drinking group
Something,
that you
yeah.
just don't know about
It's
yet.
like
It's just
whatever
a- it's
room
just-
they're in, they post it to the people around them.
Let's see.
Josh Graham.
This was supposed to be an Oktoberfest beer episode, which matches their first episode that they did. As Marco knocks over his Oktoberfest can, it's actually kind of perfect the way that you just did that. Their very first episode of Shift Beers was an Oktoberfest episode. Their 3rd anniversary episode. He is knocking shit over. I don't know what's happening. They talked about how working in the industry, in the beer industry, ruins beer events.
Yeah.
Which I don't
I
work
can
in
get
the
that.
industry, but I could see it. But I guess it depends on if you're always forced to work the events and can never experience the events.
that's the bigger thing.
Versus your brewery is present at whatever event, but you have a volunteer running your booth, and you get to actually walk around and interact with everyone else. So I can see it, but it also, like you guys are saying, I think it really depends on the actual situation. Let's see. I have an interesting note that you're a part of, Caroline. Mm-hmm. Josh was talking about gardening. So I think that you and Josh should start a Gardening Gripes podcast because both of you on your own podcasts have talked a lot about the trials and tribulations of growing things.
Only if we call it lifted beds.
It has to be called Lifted Beds.
It's also got to be a YouTube channel.
Yes,
a hell of a
there needs to be
podcast.
video. Yes, 100%. I think that having a video would be great, but also an audio, like a podcast as well. On the Gardening Gripes, Josh is growing ghost peppers, and he's going to try to make hot sauce. So good luck to him. Wear gloves when you're handling those things. And if you make a decent hot sauce, let me know. I would love to get or buy a bottle off of you because I am not a smart person, and I put hot things in my mouth way more frequently than I should.
That's what she said.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah. When I have more gardening beds next year, we will do spicier peppers on purpose.
Okay.
So it'll
It'll be hot things in everybody's mouths.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You heard it from Caroline first. They were making a really big deal about Sierra Nevada doing an Oktoberfest collaboration with a German brewery. Like, oh, look at them flexing and look at them, acting like this is such a big deal. Northern Road just did that exact same thing.
Yeah, Sierra Nevada is also done it for like the last 10 years or something.
Right. So my thought when I was listening to that is, instead of shitting all over Sierra Nevada, like, oh, look at you guys saying how you're collabing with a German brewery, whatever, why not lift up another local brewery, Northern Row? And I'm sure that there are other breweries that have been in contact with.
I believe, what is that? Northern Road, Schwester? Wait,
Schwester,
no,
yeah.
that's a Hefeweizen, right?
That's
I'm confused. Oh, I'm confused. Just got a little confused.
Saunders Schwester.
Got a little confused.
The naming convention.
And I think they moved away from Schwester.
They did. It's just
they did.
Hefeweizen now.
Hefeweizen. So Shift Beers is now your new destination for where and how to place NFL and other sports-related bets. They dug a lot into... Josh is a sports guy now.
Yeah.
Shift Beers, brought to you by DraftKings.
Oh, man, if they got sponsored by DraftKings...
God
that
damn
would
if they got
be-
sponsored.
All
like
I'm
that.
asking is for
Got to make
Utopia.
podcasts get sponsored.
It was at this point that they had a surprise guest show up, which was absolutely fantastic. Susky.
They called the surprise guest, and
But then they didn't know he was going to just show up.
He just-
So calling and having them show up in person, two totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got into the big announcement that Chris is running the Flying Pig, which is absolutely phenomenal.
That's fantastic.
I'm very proud of him.
beyond excited for him.
I'm
to
very
do this.
excited. I learned that Chris has run a full marathon before.
I did not know that.
I did not know that
Nice.
either until, obviously, I was told that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it, but part of me wants to call it bullshit.
How many years ago was that?
I mean, how many years ago was it since I ran 10 miles a day? I mean, it's been 6 or 7 years. How many years
I
has
just
it
had
been?
my Facebook memory of doing Mud Guts and Glory with Dahani Jones pop up
Oh,
like 9
Dahani
years
Jones?
ago.
Nice.
Oh, it was so much fun.
I don't know how long it's been for Chris. It doesn't matter.
No,
he
it doesn't.
hasn't gotten younger.
No,
It's true.
No,
And what's really cool about what they were talking about is Chris is going to do the whole thing.
yes.
And so as us running, it's another friend pushing him on
Absolutely.
to run. That's the fun part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Ship Beers is fun and funny.
Let's be
and-
honest, he's going to have to push us along.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
yeah.
could be.
There's
be.
going to be mutual just encouragement all the way around for it. Absolutely.
Their podcast is fun and funny, and they have burps, which we're going to talk about in a little while. And you know, it's a lot of stuff. But if this, by Chris doing this and us committing to participate in it, if it can actually be a positive thing in our lives collectively,
Yeah.
I love that. And that's why I was, from the moment they said it, I was like, I haven't
Yeah.
done anything like this in 6 or 7 years, but I would do it for this reason.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's do it. If you do have
Let's
any
do it.
tips for Chris, any encouragement, training tips, anything at all like that, send them, tag at Shift Beers, and let Chris know, hey, here's something to keep an eye on for, something that you should try to do. And we will, if nothing else, if absolutely nothing else, let's try to get as many people as possible at that goddamn finish line to give him the biggest finish line celebration that any participant of the Flying Pig has ever seen.
Hell yeah.
I'm in for it. A couple other notes. You can hear about their plans to go to Oktoberfest in Germany in the next 40 or 50 years. They
Whenever
weren't
the
entirely
kids
sure.
can drive them around.
Whenever the kids can drive them around in Germany.
You can drive a lot younger in Germany, though.
It's true.
They're like
And
16.
you can drink a lot younger in Germany. Bonus beers. I'm not going to go into...
I think you can drive
So-
older, but you can drink
You
younger.
can drink younger, yes. Shift Beers misses the Newbert Report. I
can't
miss
push
the
a
Newbert
suitcase with
Report.
I missed the Newbert report.
Hopefully,
Dawn
the boys
extension.
up in Canada are doing well. Their bonus beer was Sabertooth Tiger from Rheingeist, which we all absolutely love, I'm pretty sure. And you can find out in this episode who really, really, really loves orange juice.
It's not who you think.
It's not. I was surprised. And that brings us to the part of our Shift Beers recap that we have been missing.
Yes.
I like how Gnome sounds like just, oh God, here we go. And Marco's all excited.
Joe won't let me do this on our podcast. It's, quote, not that kind of podcast.
I mean, not entirely wrong.
If only
but
you knew
come
somebody that
on. Only you
ran
knew
the
someone.
podcast.
We could
I
make it that
know.
type
I
of
know.
podcast.
If only I had a connection.
So, Marco, do you want to let people know what we are both excited and disappointed and dismayed and terrified about?
It's been a while. That's why I'm going to go ahead and describe the burp count. So the burp count is when you listen to ship beers, every time they have an audible burp, we count it. You know, we log it. It's
we have clickers.
It's through an accounting firm. We make sure that it's certified. And what we do is we let you know how many burps there were based off an average sip of 2 ounces. And don't give me shit about a 2-ounce fucking sip. That's Google it. They say average
Science.
sip, 2 ounce. Science. We let you know how many ounces / pints you would have had to go through if you went ahead and drank every time you heard a burp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's back.
It's been far too long. I will say they kept saying, man, we're going to break our record. We're up there. We're doing this.
They were trying real hard.
Guys, you were nowhere fucking close to your record.
Nowhere close.
I went back. So this is also fun because...
Susky didn't help very much at all.
No, in absolutely no way, shape, or form. One of the fun things about this episode of Shift Beers is this closed out notebook number 3 for my Truth Beer Pod notes.
Closed out notebook number 3.
So I went through 3 notebooks worth of notes to find out what episode of Shift Beers had the most burps.
Did you also look up the least?
I did not, but I should have. You're right.
That was the one where they were playing the game, though, where they were
it was
burping off mic and stuff.
That doesn't count because they cheated.
They
cut them
cheated
out.
on that. I know, because I thought about that. I'm like, I should write down this one where it was all like old timey and stuff. And I'm like, but they were trying. They cut them out. I'm like, so that's not even. That doesn't work. So this episode 117, we're 3, even though you kind of aren't. I don't know. I'm just going to give you guys shit because you know I love you and I want to do that. They had a grand total of 46 burps.
Okay.
That's
all right. No,
It's respectable. It's absolutely respectable because that is
2 people plus Susky
Not a
in
record.
like the last 15, 20 minutes.
For 2 people,
Not a
this
record.
was 92 ounces of whatever beverage you choose to drink if you're participating in this game, which is 5.75 pints. Now, because
if you're having liters of at an Oktoberfest, you put that down.
That's 3
no
liters.
problem.
yeah, absolutely.
That's 3. That's less than 3.
Than 3 liters.
Yeah, it's less than 3 liters. That's very easy for
1
us
liter,
to do during an
2.11
Oktoberfest.
pints.
It's like a normal Thursday afternoon.
Yeah. So I also have
Without a doubt,
the
sir.
top 3 burp count episodes. They're all higher
and
than
starting
this one.
from number 3. We ready? Number 3.
Number 3 was episode 80. We had beers with Danny. Phenomenal episode. Dude, Marco, you need to run the board from now on. You are doing a phenomenal job. The second highest burp count, 98 burps.
Ooh.
That one was up there. Episode 98. They had 98 burps in episode 98. Holy shit, I just realized that. Nice job, guys.
Wow, holy shit.
That episode was Spaghetti it and Forget It.
Now, which one of those was the button?
Oh my
The
god!
world will never know.
I know.
All
Like,
right.
wait a second.
I
The
was
button
hoping
doesn't
Marco
go
would help
this
me
way.
out there, but he just left me hanging.
And the number 1 Shift Beers episode, as far as burp counts go, was episode 83. Hard carbonated H2O.
That makes
A
sense.
seltzer episode. Caroline, you can see my notes, so you don't count. Any guesses on?
It's got to be around 10,422.
Mine, Marco.
I'm going to go 126.
You're both wrong. But Marco, if we're playing by Price is Right rules, you would win 162.
Wow.
Holy shit.
It's like hard carbonated beverages have a lot of...
Oh, seltzers are awful for that. We could do this all night, but we're not going to. Caroline, no, Marco, any other notes on this episode of Shift Beers?
I didn't take notes because I unsubscribed to the show 6 months ago and they
shit.
stopped posting it.
All right.
I'm hoping they can
Kidding.
get
Love you
together
guys.
again soon. They're fun to listen to.
They made a post saying that they're going to try to.
Yeah,
So,
well.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I'm glad we were able to have an episode.
Me
I'm
too.
thankful.
Me too. I was
And
thrilled.
And it's great. And so please, 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 I know all of you. I see you maybe once a week. And what I would implore you to do is find a way for us, as long as you can create content. It doesn't have to be all four of you, and it doesn't have to be always the original four, but if it ever
needs to continue,
the concept should continue on. And so,
go harass your neighbor that's across the street mowing their lawn and say, hey, want a beer so you stop making all this noise?
I mean,
it's an episode.
There's truth to that. That becomes shift beers. Like, it doesn't have to be what traditional shift beers was. Like, just sit down with somebody, have a beer after you've been working somehow, and that becomes shift beers.
So
Agreed.
I would love for that to come back more regularly. I mean, without a doubt. And so this is fun. I'm glad that Caroline is here today. And
I guess Gnome.
Gnome, thank you for being here.
Kind of always here now.
I love it.
You weren't here the last time I was here, though.
That's true.
No. One of these days, he's actually going to be our producer, and he's going to run the board while you and I just do our thing. One of these days.
I don't know.
I better get the Patreon money up there to pay me.
That's true.
Very expensive, you know.
Well, how about you just stop paying us for Patreon?
That might work too.
Well, before we wrap it up, Caroline,
plug what you want to plug. Yes.
Go ahead and do the plugs.
We are at Craft Parenting Podcast on most of your social media platforms. We have a website. It's mostly just show notes at this point. We talk a lot about beer and parenting and just life. So
you guys do your podcast live on YouTube more often than not anymore.
It makes life way easier because Joe's just like, sweet, post.
No. Plug all of your stuff, including beer, booze, bunks, and everything, and Big Sis.
Go to thegnarlygnome.com for everything. This Friday, when you're listening to this, like, it's right about to happen.
Today.
Today or tomorrow? When is this
it'll come out at 12:01 a.m. on Friday.
Is it on Friday? So
yeah,
tonight, come to Darkness, drink about Big Sis, and get some raffle stuff to raise some money for a good cause. But Beer, Booze, and Bunks this fall, it is on the 11th of November, which is Veterans Day. Come out. We've got some great veterans charities and stuff that we're going to work in with it too. Get your tickets. Go to thegnarlygnome.com/tickets.
Gnome, Caroline, thank you so much for being here tonight.
What about me?
Leon?
Caroline, are you going to be there Friday?
We will have to see what we can do with the kids.
If you like what Liam and Leon and Marco and Gnome and Caroline and myself have done tonight, don't let us know necessarily. Let everyone else know. We are at Truth Beer Pod we are at Truth Beer Pod on all the social media platforms. Our website is truthbeerpod.com. It has links to absolutely everything, including how you can become a Patreon and hear the mostly unedited version of the chaos that has reigned supreme tonight.
Any complaints can be sent to @ShiftBeers.
We just
send them to Muller Brew Barn, Monroe.
We don't get. I was going to say we don't get complaints. So
good.
Why not?
All of my thoughts and opinions are representative of Muller Brew Barn, Monroe.
Fantastic.
So good.
All right.
So good.
So Caroline, Marco, what do you guys think you're going to be doing next Tuesday?
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone.
Fishing Joe and Caroline's kids out of the river, evidently. I guess they can't swim.